crisis in Afghanistan takes a deadly turn as terrorists target the U.S. evacuations of citizens and allies. Congressman Chris Pappas joins us now to sort out how the United States comes out of all this and to talk about some of the other big developments in Washington. Congressman, thank you for joining us.
It's good to be with you, Adam.
So first of all, we're recording this interview Friday morning, and any number of things could develop in the next 48 hours, so we should qualify that. But Congressman, if America leaves on or before the 31st on that deadline, and there are still U.S. citizens on the ground in Afghanistan, what does that say to you about the Biden administration's commitment to keeping Americans safe?
Well, my heart is heavy. It goes out to the families of the 13 service members who were lost in this terrorist attack yesterday, and we know that dozens more of our partners and allies and Afghans were killed in this attack, many more injured. We've got to do all we can to hold the group who has claimed responsibility, ISIS-K, responsible. That needs to be an important part of how we move forward and ensure that there's justice for these service members and their families. These individuals who were wearing the uniform of our country were there doing a mission to evacuate individuals who found themselves in harm's way. American citizens who remained in Afghanistan, our allies and partners, including interpreters that helped with the U.S. war effort. So this was a very selfless mission. They were there to get people to safety, to ensure literally that over 100,000 people could be safe and have a better life once they got to another country or come home here to the United States. So we have to salute their bravery, their patriotism, and do everything we can to be worthy of their sacrifice. I think this mission has got to continue in a way that ensures every American who is eligible gets out of Kabul. And in addition to that, that there is a safe process for special immigrant visa applicants and holders to be able to either get out through the airport now or to find a safe pathway to come here to the United States. That's the least we owe them. And these individuals, if they make it here to the United States, will be the most patriotic Americans you can ever find. They love our country and what it stands for. And that's why this mission is just so crucial. It's going to continue to be dangerous. There continue to be very real threats from ISIS-K. And that's why as we retrograde troops and equipment from the airport, we've got to focus first on force protection and then getting out any remaining American citizens and partners that we can.
Congressman, if, completing the mission means violating the deadline, do you believe that's worth it if it results in essentially open warfare with the Taliban again and more bloodshed and loss of U.S. troops?
Well, we need to make a commitment to our own citizens and to those who helped the war effort. And I have criticized the administration for setting this August 31st date, which I don't think is a realistic timetable to get all these individuals out through the airport. Now, we've got to make sure that we are allowing the commanders on the ground to make decisions about how to protect our troops best. And so that certainly is an important piece of this puzzle. But whether our mission ends on August 31st or whether it continues at the airport until all Americans are safely out, the focus has to be on the safety of these individuals. And if we can't get people processed through the airport, we just can't turn our backs on them and walk away. We've got to find other ways to get them home.
It's been reported that the administration handed over a list of U.S. Afghan allies to the Taliban, presumably to facilitate moving them out of the country. But some people have pointed out that puts these individuals at great risk. It's essentially a kill list for the Taliban. What's your response to that? And do you think this is something that should go into a larger congressional investigation?
There's going to be plenty of time to investigate the strategy around the withdrawal, what has transpired the last 2 weeks, and really what has gone on the last 20 years. I share the concerns about those reports, but sitting here in Manchester, New Hampshire, I have a hard time second-guessing the commanders who are on the ground, the State Department personnel, everyone who is working overtime around the clock at great personal risk to try to accomplish this mission successfully. So there is going to be time to unpack all this. We will have after-action reports and congressional hearings in both the House and Senate, and I think that is appropriate. But for now, every minute, every hour counts so much. So much can continue to go wrong, and that's why our thoughts have to continue to be with the forces that are on the ground, make sure they have all the support they need to have a successful conclusion of this mission.
As you note there, this is a bad situation. It could get worse. Does this all land on President Biden's desk?
Well, look, he bears responsibility, as do the 3 previous administrations that helped shape the strategy in Afghanistan. We have been there for 20 years. The American people support withdrawal of our troops, and I think it is time to bring people home. That doesn't mean our commitment to going after terrorists. That doesn't mean our commitment to Americans and Afghanis who assisted us ends on August 31st or whenever the last plane of our troops leaves Afghanistan. We have to continue to stay engaged, to be working with our global partners, our partners in the region, to make sure that America is safe and that we make good on our commitments.
Let's turn to the pandemic. Do you think the state is on the right footing to deal with what's coming with the Delta variant? Governor Chris Sununu has essentially said this is now a healthcare problem and not a state problem. Do you agree?
Well, I have deep concern about the numbers that we're seeing with the Delta variant. The numbers that we are seeing not only in southern states, but all across our country where there's a resurgence of infections. Hospitalizations have increased. We've seen deaths in New Hampshire over the last week. And so it really is important that we all continue to stress the public health guidance that tells us that vaccinations are working. They're keeping people safe, keeping people out of the hospital. And New Hampshire has some more ground to cover to get more people vaccinated, to keep things safe and moving forward. I also am really mindful of the time of year we're at. It's back to school time, and we've got to make sure that our kids have a safe in-person learning environment. And that's why making sure that our schools are well resourced, that they're taking the precautions necessary is absolutely imperative to make sure that our numbers don't increase further and we're not putting our kids, our educators, and our families at risk. So this continues to be a perilous time with respect to COVID-19. We want to make sure that more people get vaccinated and that once these booster shots are available, as people's immunity wanes over time, that beginning in September, those will be made available to vulnerable individuals, including our seniors who perhaps got vaccinated earlier in the year, but whose defenses to the Delta variant might be waning over time.
The $3.5 trillion budget resolution that just passed the House, you supported that. I'm curious if that's something that you're going to try to pare down, the final number on that, when it becomes the actual budget and not just a resolution based on concerns in spending and inflation.
Well, we're really putting the cart before the horse when we talk about a price tag, because I don't think anyone should be given out a blank check just to spend money for the sake of spending money. We've got to be drilling down into what are the priorities, what are the investments that we can include in this bill, and is it worth the cost, and how can we finance it? So with the approval of the resolution on the budget, that allows the committees in the House and Senate to begin their work. And I'll be engaged on the Transportation Committee as well as the Veterans Committee in pieces that will expand opportunities to invest in VA infrastructure, and to fill in some of the gaps of the bipartisan infrastructure bill on the Transportation Committee. Other committees will have different ideas, and I think there are some really game-changing ideas that are on the table to help our families. Really, this should be about creating jobs, about lowering costs, making sure that our families are strong and healthy. And some of the things that we were able to deliver as part of the American Rescue Plan, including an expanded child tax credit, which is a middle-class tax cut, as well as lowering healthcare premiums for a lot of New Hampshire families. That is making a difference right now, and I'd like to see how we can continue those provisions in this Build Back Better plan. So I think we're going to have to compromise and reach a deal that is more modest than what the budget framework provides for, and that's going to be done through the committee work and ultimately in negotiations between the House and Senate. So we're probably about a month away from the finish line. And while we don't have legislative text yet, I can't commit to supporting or opposing a bill, but I'm committed to the process of trying to get something right and trying to deliver results for the people of New Hampshire.
Got about a minute left here, but I want to get in one more quick question. The redistricting process is kicking off in Concord. If we look at the pure politics of this, you've got a pretty big target on your back there in Congressional District 1. You've said that if your district is substantially redrawn, you're not going to rule out a run for a different statewide office, potentially governor. Do you have to see the maps before you make that decision?
Well, I don't, and my commitment is really to the people that I'm serving right now in my current capacity. And I think there will be time for, politics and ramping up campaigns at a later date. Right now, we're really focused on how we can move meaningful legislation in Washington, D.C. But this process will play out. We need fair maps in New Hampshire. Politicians shouldn't be picking elected representatives. The voters should ultimately be choosing that. And that's why gerrymandering should have no part in how these maps are drawn in New Hampshire. Let's let the voters decide. That's a process that I support. And I'll make any decisions on next steps, not based on what happens in Concord, New Hampshire, but how I can work with and deliver for the people of New Hampshire.
All right, Congressman Chris Pappas, a lot of eyeballs will be on that decision, but thank you for joining us on Close Up. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Adam. Take care.